that. That one. You want your microphone?
Sure.
Put that on your chest.
Right there, okay?
Yep.
Sure, that sounds
And then what we can do is throw this over your shoulder and I'll clip it in the back of your collar so it's not there.
good. Sounds like a plan.
Don't want to have any
No.
incidences.
We don't want to get this wound up at 2,000 RPM.
Got enough free room there?
Got an empty pocket.
All right.
Will that work? There we go.
There you go. All right, go on ahead, John, whenever you're ready.
Okay, everybody hear me okay? Yep. All right, the demo tonight is going to be to take a look at procedurally how you do a bowl with these little feet on it. It's a pretty simple process. It's pretty straightforward. It's not really complicated at all. And it's probably like everything else in the world. There's probably 24 different ways to do it. So if somebody out there has done it, has another way, jump in and add to the conversation so that we'll know more than one way to do it. Okay? So we're going to start out with, I have an extra bowl blank here that's partly done so that we can kind of talk about different things at different points in the process. We're going to start out with a bowl blank. I think this is soft maple. I've got a faceplate on it. Could do just as well with a worm screw or any other way of doing it. So that's our starting point. I'm going to wear a faceplate, so what I'm going to try to do is explain a couple of steps in advance of what I'm going to do, and then when I put my mask on, I won't have to try to do very much talking or very much listening on you guys' part. So what we're going to do to start out is we're just going to take a skim cut off the bottom. We're going to use our tailstock to mark the center. We're going to use Sam's handy dandy tool to mark the center.
That's fine. And it's everybody run.
All right, so we'll have a mark around here for my tenon. Then I'm going to take and put an additional mark a little bit outside of that. And instead of the traditional way of cutting a tenon where you remove a lot of this material out here to the side, we don't want to do that because we're going to need that for our foot. So what I'm going to do is just, for the tenon, I'm just going to cut a little groove. I'm going to cut a groove that's just wide enough so that I can cut a dovetail and then get the jaws of my chuck in there. I'm going to try to leave all of this material out here for the time being. Okay? So that's how we're going to get started. Somewhere about there.
One second, John.
Okay. So that's somewhere about there. That's about where I'm going to cut my groove. Now I'm going to cut a dovetail in there. So that's what we've got so far. Got a dovetail. What I'm going to do now is put a couple of lines around there that will kind of tell me where the foot, where it's going to sit on the table. So I want to identify where this is going to be. I have to leave myself enough room to get some taper in there. Kind of like we did on this one. So that's what we're going to do is we're going to identify where this ring is right here. And we'll just, how about right there and right there. Close enough. Okay. What I'm going to do now is shape the outside of the bowl. And probably going to start with this outside line and just roughly shape the outside of the bowl. When we get done with that, we're going to do some more shaping to it in order to get the foot. But right now, we're not worried about that. Just going to get rid of some of this wood. Okay. I'm gonna leave it a little bit outside the first line I drew, but that's good enough. What I want to do now is kind of decide how far up I want this line right here to be. So where do we'll pick a spot roughly 3/4 of an inch up. It could be whatever you want. If you want a big tall foot, you make it more. Well, I thought you could see that more, but you can't. Okay, what I'm going to do now is shape the foot and the outside of the bowl. So I'm going to bring this into a V here and then go from the V to the outside of the bowl. So that's what we've got. So we now have the bowl shaped a little bit, and we have the foot shaped. And you can make this anything you want. If you want the feet to come down more vertical, you just do that. If you want it to come in real flat, you just shape it that way. Not a big deal one way or the other. Okay, I'll clean this up a little bit, and then I'm going to shape the inside of that foot to kind of meet the contour of the outside. Do a little bit more on the outside. obviously, this is just a demo. If we were really making a bowl, we'd worry about cleaning up the cuts. We'd worry about sanding and doing all of that stuff. But we're not going to spend the time this evening to show you how to sand the bowl, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, let me look at my notes to make sure I didn't forget anything important. Okay, somewhere along the line, you have to decide how many feet you want it to have. Preferably more than 2. It could have 3, 4. 3 is probably the most common. Any number of feet that you want it to have, depending upon what you want it to look like. You could have it as a scallop with multiple feet on it if you chose to do it. What I'm going to do here is just the simplest thing, which is going to be to do 3 feet. So, and again, lots of different ways that you can do this. You can use the index on your lathe. That's what Roger and I did on this one, except we figured out that we can't count. So,
You weren't supposed to tell that.
yeah, this is the one. If you look carefully, it has a short gap and 2 long gaps. So, either make sure you can count or check your math. Do something.
It's tricycle formation.
So, all right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is going to kind of draw a line here, and I'm going to make a little mark out here that I can see, and then I think if we do that, and how is it? This way. No. Surely we know how to do this. Yeah.
There you go,
Yeah, that looks like it. So that will kind of give us the location of 3 feet. Again, a lot of ways to do it. You can measure, you can use dividers, you can do it any way you want to, or we can say that that's going to be the bottom of my feet.
Yeah.
And then we want to have those feet coming up, whether you can see that or not, but we're going to bring the feet up like this. And up like this.
Tapered?
Yes. Wider at the top, narrower at the bottom. And you can do anything you want with them. There are no rules. Okay? So that's going to be our 3 little feet. Oh, that's the way I did those. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can make these cuts. You can do it on a bandsaw. You can do it with grinding tools, anything you want to do. Pull saw is probably the easiest. So what I'm going to do is try to make a cut fairly close to that line. Okay. think we're at a point that I don't need this, it's hot up.
Microphone.
Nope. Thank you. It's warm in there. Okay, thank you.
Do you want your helmet anymore?
No, I don't think I need that. If you want to turn the fan off, that would be great.
Yeah, run the battery down. Then you gotta plug in the phone charger.
Yeah.
It's a nice pool saw, John. Where'd you get that at?
Amazon.
Okay.
I think I told my grandkids what I wanted for Christmas one year and gave them a picture of it on Amazon. It's helpful to put the spindle lock in place when you're doing this. Okay.
Are you gonna hollow out the bowl too, or is this just a pretend bowl?
No, this could be a finished bowl whenever I get done. I'm not going to do it all tonight because we don't need to be here 3 hours. You know. What I'm doing here is what you would do at home in your shop. When you get finished with the feet and sanding as you would a normal bowl on the outside, then you would put your chuck on the tenon, turn it around, and hollow the bowl just like you would.
I see.
Okay, now, probably kind of a good idea to say, I want to get rid of this part and keep that part. Get rid of this part, keep that part. Get rid of this part, keep that part. So you don't accidentally knock your foot off, okay? Now, again, there are dozens of ways to do this. Depends upon what equipment you have at home and what you like to work with. So, if you have a Harbor Freight 1-inch belt sander, you could do something like that. And that would work pretty well. Neat little tool, excellent for some things, not worth having for others. It doesn't do everything, but if you got it on the shelf, sometimes it's a really nice little tool to have. You can use file, you can use drill with sanding disc, you can use Dremel tool, you can use any kind of sander you want. This one here, the chisel and the mallet work really good. I don't know if it'll work really good on this piece, but on this poplar, it did a good job. So we'll try it here and see what we get. We've got nothing to lose. There we go. So that works pretty good. We could do that. We might as well do all 3 of them. I'm just waiting for it to split on into there. Okay? So now we got the bulk of it gone, and we're gonna start finessing it a little bit. Again, you can use a file, you can use the chisels. One of the things I like to use is to take the sanding cones, in this case maybe the 2-inch size, put it on my drill press, and then turn the drill press on, and you can just go around, and you have pretty good control, and you can see what you're doing. So you can go ahead and remove this down and get it fairly smooth that way. That's one of my preferred ways of doing it. I also have this little rascal here. This is a Harbor Freight 5/8 inch belt, and I'm gonna try to get a little bit of, remove a little bit of that stuff and get it down a little smoother using this. Great tool as long as the belt stays on, but sometimes that's not very long. That's what it does. Does that a lot. So much for that. But that would be what you're going to do. You're going to just smooth this in, blend it in, get it as smooth as you can, work from your 80 grit on through the grits, and do this as smoothly as you can. You can do, obviously you can do this part of it on the lathe spinning. This part in here is just going to be what works for you. What tools do you have in your shop? What do you like to do? What works today? What works today might not work the next time you do it.
What tools do my friend have at his shop?
That also. I'm going to play with this a little bit. Okay. Same thing as doing it on the drill press, except you have a little more control on the drill press. But, I mean, that's the process right there.
You do all of the sanding and everything for the feed before you actually start turning the boat.
Well, if I were doing this for real at home and was not under any time constraints, I would have done the shaping of this bowl and had it everywhere, you know, about what I wanted before I started sanding this, so that when I blended it in, it would be done. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to gradually remove this down, get it down to pretty smooth, blend it all in, and as you go closer and closer, just like you would with any other project, you're going from rough to finished. So when you get done sanding with your power equipment, then you're probably going to do some hand sanding to make sure you got it where you want it.
But you would do all of this before you turned it around.
Yes, I would, yes. Just like on a regular bowl, you do most of the outside work. A lot of people do all of the outside work, including putting a finish on it before they turn it around. So the process is the same, yeah. So, you know, you're gonna do a little sanding here, you're gonna blend in. As you're going along, you're probably gonna think of some things and say, I think I'm going to put a couple of grooves in there. I think I'm gonna burn a couple of wires. You think, maybe I'll do some texture. Whatever you're gonna do, go for it. But that's what you're doing. You're going through the process. Biggest thing to remember when you're doing it is that you don't want to remove all of this wood like you would when you're turning a regular tenon. You want to do it with as small a groove as you can so that you have the rest of this wood out here and you can look at it and say, I want to do this, or I want to do that. The next bowl you do, you may say, hey, I'm going to move these feet all the way out here and just have almost straight up and down bowls, you know. The next bowl you do may be a giant platter, and you may have a large circumference for a large diameter for where your feet are going to be. So, you know, like I said when it started out, it's not difficult, it's not complicated. I just wanted to go through the process of showing you these are the steps you go through. You guys all know how to turn a bowl. You all know how to do the rest of it. So it's a procedural thing. This is how we do it. And as long as you leave this wood out here and go through that process, it's going to work out for you. Has anybody else put feet on bowl? Have you done that? Did you do it somewhat the same?
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Anything that would be helpful to me and the rest of the guys?
I use the Dremel a lot, and then, like you said, on the drill press.
Yeah, yeah. I've got quite a bit of power carving stuff. I've got the flex shaft and, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. So, you know, if I were home in my shop, I would have a whole bunch of things. I wouldn't, you know, be trying to get it done in 30 or 40 minutes so everybody can go home. So I don't want to spend time showing you what you already know.
And the burrs in a drill work pretty good too.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. In a Dremel tool, in a flex shaft tool, you have more control with those two than you do with a drill. But you can do it with the drill also, with either a rasp or like a mill cutter. So all of the things you can do. There's nothing wrong with just taking a file or a rasp and saying, okay, you know, this makes it a 2-beer job instead of a 1-beer job.
And you can listen to the radio while you're doing that.
Yeah, sure, that's right. You know, there's nothing magic about it. You know, you just go through a couple of simple steps and you're there.
All right.
Scott, when you get hearing aids, you use the Bluetooth.
Okay.
You don't have to keep adjusting the volume.
Okie dokie. Thank you much, guys.
All right, John. Oh, I'm promoting these stickers that are up here today. Garrett, sounds cool.
Good demo, Don. Good demo.
Thank you, sir.